So, John, we're back. Both our beards have grown an extra few centimeters over the week.
Yeah, it's getting horrific. I tell you what's good about it, though. When I do burpees, it's quite cushiony. So when your chin touches the floor, and with press-ups as well, you get down and you get a little cushion, bounce back.
Lovely.
You
Lovely.
go.
Well, you're not getting your chin to the floor then. That's the...
Exactly, I know. There's a bit of cushion in there for it. But yeah, my mum isn't happy about the beard. She's like, you look about 60 years old. You need to...
This is the Extra 10% podcast, helping you get paid tomorrow for what you do today. Invite John Holowaty and Mark Hudson to join you at the breakfast table, ride with you to work, or just randomly stumble across them in the afternoon. Let's get the extra 10% out of your day.
Yeah, to be fair, my mum's never enjoyed the fact that I've grown a beard, ever. And to be fair, I didn't realize how ginger I was. Like, as in, I've always considered myself blonde, right? Maybe a little bit ashy or whatever on the side or whatever. And since I've grown a beard, yeah, it is redder than it's hotter than the sunlight. Anyway, yeah. So it's
this podcast is sponsored by Just for Men.
Just for Men, yeah.
So mine goes quite red in areas, and then you just get like the random grey hair that just pops out of nowhere.
Right, I haven't got to that stage. I'm not old enough yet.
And I'm like, hang on a minute, this wasn't even grey yesterday. So what's it doing? It's an alien beard.
Anyway, if you are just tuning in, you have tuned into the Beard Channel, and we're discussing the different... that's one thing, actually. For a very long time, when I first grew my beard, which is about 2 years now, is I used to use beard oil like all the time, but I find that I haven't really in the last 6 months. What are your beard grooming routines?
I don't really have any, but it does. My beard grows in a weird direction, so it kind of grows off to the side.
like it just wind constantly.
So it looks like I've got a deformed chin. So I have to try and balance it out, but it's difficult because obviously I'm not a beard technician. But I am looking forward. I'm gonna get rid of it. I'm gonna trim it down next week. I said I would do it until lockdown was over, and they're relaxing the restrictions on Monday. So I think Sunday night I might bring out the shears.
In preparation.
Yeah. Well, I've done it before like this. We went to the Euros 2016. We went watching England, and which was a complete waste of time because we were rubbish. But it was a great trip, and we went around France. There was 3 of us. And we had a ball, but one of the things we had, our theme was 3 lions, 3 beards.
Right, of course,
We wouldn't have a shave until England were knocked out. So I think we grew it through the group stages, and then Iceland dumped us out of the cup. And so this is like the longest. This is the longest my beard has ever been in its life. But I was just to make this into a relevant point. I was talking to someone yesterday about this whole lockdown thing, and they were like, what do you do? Like I said, what I've started to do now is, because every day's turned into the same day, I'm almost going, right, I'm not going to do that on that day. I'm going to make that like a job that I only do on a Sunday. So
okay, I like that.
The apartment is like, right, I'm not going to clean it on a Monday because that's my work. So I'm trying to create this weekend thing so all my weeks don't congeal into this one thing. So it's like, how can I structure my week? So I've actually got a little bit of relaxation. So Saturday's my walking day. Saturday's the day where I'm going to go out and have a little wander.
And what do you do the rest of the time? You just skip around the apartment, hop. You're only allowed to walk on a Sunday.
I lunge on a Monday, skip on a Tuesday.
Yeah, that's good. See, I actually don't mind. The days are like exactly the same because I'm getting so much done because I'm like waking up 6:50, my alarm goes off, do routine, crack on. I'm working by 8:30, and like I finish work normally about 7, 7:30. So I'm getting a solid 11 hours of like work done. And it's like the weeks are going so fast, like super fast. I'm like, because I have a Sunday's my day off, basically. Sundays I do no work. And like turn my phone off, like no email, literally nothing from, I sit on my computer and stuff to do like meditating, because I follow like a YouTube channel that's pretty good for meditating. But that's like the only interaction I have with like a technical device, I guess. But I'm loving the fact that it's all so mono. Everything's just exactly the same but yeah, that's just where I'm at right now with business and doing stuff like that.
Good. I think it's been really good for everybody. And I really feel that it's woken a lot of people up to what's possible. Maybe it's got them to slow down a little bit and realize that a lot of the best things in life are actually free. Do you know what I mean? Like just chilling with the people that you care about. I mean, I've not been able to do that because I've been on my own, but I just think I've had a realization that I don't need to be doing all the stuff that I was doing before.
Right. Yeah.
It's been really good for me. It's been a wake up call. It's almost been like forced. I feel like I've been a bit of a busy fool for the last few years, and that, not a busy fool, but working hard, but not necessarily smart enough. And this has been like, right, now I don't need to be hopping on and off planes every 5 days. This is the longest I've stayed in one place for probably 3 years. So
right. Yeah.
what's said for literally being grounded and being stuck there and going, you know what, these distractions now are gone. This whole lockdown has forced everyone to have no distractions. There are literally no distractions anymore to stop you from, I haven't got time to train. Well, you have. I haven't got time to build my business. Well, now you have. And you had anyway, but I think so many people, you waste your time to-ing and fro-ing, nipping here, nipping there.
I think a lot of people you just highlighted it, is there's so much we do that we don't need to do. That's just a waste of time. Like, I mean, I would consider myself reasonably forward thinking when it comes to tech and things like having things on auto order. So like Amazon and stuff like that, we have food. Lauren and I never cooked until Phoenix was, until Lauren was pregnant, actually. Like never cooked because I just don't enjoy it, don't like doing it. And Lauren loves doing it, right? But about when she got pregnant, I sort of said to her, look, I'm probably going to have to help you out because, all right, the beginning stage of pregnancy, you're going to be fine. But by the time you're getting a bit heavy, you're going to be a lot more tired. So I'm going to have to like help with the cooking and stuff. But anyway, so we did a bit of research and we found there's a company called HelloFresh, which people probably have heard of. And basically what they do is you can sign up to like a couple of meals a week, 3 meals a week, 5 meals a week, 7, whatever. And what they do is they ship you the box of all the ingredients, nothing more, nothing less. So there's like no waste. So if you need like 2 grams of like, I don't know, herbs, they just send you the 2 grams, if that makes sense. And I actually think their company mission is like no waste. Like that's the point of what it is.
I've seen it. I've seen them. I think it's on. It was on Dragon's Den or something.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe it's so good though. So basically, I don't even know where I'm going with this point. Oh yeah. So what I was sort of saying is that like we don't go shopping now for like groceries because we just get these 5 meals. All right, on a Saturday and Sunday, we're a bit, more kind of flexible because, before lockdown, you'd go out for a meal out maybe, or you'd have a Sunday roast or something like that on a Sunday, Saturday. But everything else we wouldn't really buy. And then even things like our washing machines, like a smart one. And so it links to our Amazon account. And as soon as you've like used like so many pods of washing pods, it automatically orders another like pack and it just comes to your door. And the coffee machine does the same. We've got like an espresso thing. And you just, as soon as you get an order, you put in how many have come in.
I love that.
And it just orders the Nespresso, comes to the door then, a couple of days later. And because everything is like next day delivery, it's like, even if you run out of something, it's like, it doesn't matter. You literally have it in 24 hours. Now, what the sort of point I'm trying to make is that they're just a couple of the things that we do that waste time. I am a huge believer in going to the shops to buy anything is such a waste of time. You got to drive there, you got to park, you got to check out, queue at the thing and check out. You got to bag stuff. It's like, what the hell? No, I've got more important things to do with life. So maybe people are less likely to want to go to the shops right now because they're being forced. Do I really want to go there, touch the baskets, touch the, that could potentially have coronavirus, whatever. So I reckon more people are looking to Amazon and online. And so it's kind of like, and that's just when you do it with one aspect of your life, you then start to look at it in other areas. So, all right, food and grocery shopping, that's one element. But then people start to think like, yeah, do I need to be doing all that toing and froing, that backing and forthing of like driving around, doing things, doing errands? And it's like, actually, no, maybe we should be batching things a bit more. You know, like batching, like, I don't know, I'll use an example of like letters. I mean, I've never literally sent a letter in my life, but like, rather than sending one letter a day and going out to the post box once a day, it's like, just wait until the end of the week. You got 5 things, put the 5 things in once. It's like so much more efficient. And that's maybe a bad example, but
no, I know what you mean. It's saving time. It's like, you know, a great example of that. The same thing, batching. It's these people, I don't get it. They never fill their car up at the petrol station.
Oh man, what a waste of time.
I'm just putting £10 in. Oh, right. So you're going to have to go again. No, I'll just put £10 in. No, fill the fucker up so you don't have to go every single day to the petrol station. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And it's just, when you accumulate that time over a lifetime.
Oh, it's immense. Yeah.
It's wasted.
Also, do you know what I think that comes down to? Because I was a bit like this, not using that example of petrol, but I would wait like got to finances. So people don't know, and it's really scary. And to be fair, like, again, I was like this until a few years ago, is I didn't know how much, to the penny sort of thing, how much was leaving my bank account and on what days roughly and things like that. Now, obviously, I'm not talking to the penny or to the exact day, but I didn't really have a rough idea when things came out or whatever. The only thing I knew when I was obviously working in the corporate world was the day I got paid, right? That was literally the only constant I guess I knew. So when you have that, if you have that sort of don't know when anything happens, Jim Rohn talks about this a lot, actually. He's like, oh, people say all the time to me, oh, I just don't know where it all goes. Oh, brilliant. You don't know where it all goes. Come run our company. You know what I mean? You sound like the type of person we want in charge. But what I did was I like sat down and was like, no, literally, like, where do I spend my money? What days? Blah, blah, blah. And then what I realized is I knew how many miles a month I normally did, which was whatever it was at the time or something. So then as soon as you get paid, I then had a list of things I would do. So I'd like pay, you know, a bit on credit card. I'd, you know, fill up with petrol. I'd order food, you know, like as in to having a house. So I'd almost like, you're doing like as soon as the money comes in, you're allocating it straight away. You put some in for savings. So from a petrol perspective, if you know you need about, you know, maybe you need to fill up twice in a month. That's like your thing, you know, and it's like 60 quid each. You go on the day you get paid almost, fill up, and then it becomes a routine. So by the time you get paid the next time, your gas tank has got down to a low level to be able to fill up again. So you're not kind of then like going, oh, I need to, because here's the other thing you just mentioned about, if you fill up with a tenner, you can literally do like 1 or 2 little trips here or there. Then you've got to go out of your way to find another petrol station just to almost get back home.
And waste petrol to
waste petrol doing that, yeah. So it's like, it just, whereas if you build it into your routine, fill up at the same petrol station every time on a certain day, give or take a few days, because depending on how many miles you've done, and just fill it up. You know what I mean? Like they're putting in £100 worth of petrol a month in £10 increments. Just put it in 2 increments or 1. You know,
hit the nail on the head. 2 things right there. The first one is get honest with where you're at and get organized. Because when I said that, immediately afterwards, I thought, oh, I hope none of the listeners think, oh, I can't afford to fill my car up. But you can afford to fill it up. It's just that you've wasted your money, so you've only got £10 left. So some people will be going, I can only put £10 in because that's all I've got. No, if you do what Mark just said, you allocate your monthly income. You have an idea of, I've got £50 a month to spend on petrol. So the first time I get paid is I go and fill up. So that job is done. Then that saves me time, saves me energy, and it saves me petrol. Keep going back and forth to the petrol station. Yeah. And it's the same thing when you're on about that I don't know where it all goes mentality. People do it with their time. They've just spent all day. I don't know where all the time's gone. I just don't know where these last few hours have gone. What have you been doing that's productive? So people do it with their time and they do it with their money. And it always boils down to lack of structure and lack of organization. How do I know? Because I've wasted so much time over my life, especially in my younger years, doing that stuff, like flittering time away. Before you know it, it's like...
Flittering? Oh, yeah, I've not heard that word before.
Yeah, get that one in. Flittering away the time. And you're like, and I think that's why it's so important to write lists, to have a morning routine, to be like, bam, bam, bam. And when I started this morning routine, I know we keep banging on about morning routine, but when I started my morning routine, I celebrated before I'd even put my phone on. I was like, wow, I've just cleared like 6 really important tasks that I need to do today. They're done before it's even got light.
Yeah.
Like, amazing for doing it. I was like, oh my God, so much. And do you know what? Your parents probably said this to you when you were a kid. Like my mum used to say it all the time. John, why don't you get your homework done now so you can enjoy the rest of the holiday and you don't have to worry about it? And I never used to listen. I used to just throw the bag in the cupboard, shut the cupboard. Not, my mum wasn't the bag, by the way.
Oh, that's good. He's throw the bag in the cupboard. Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
No, throw my school bag in the car.
Oh, that was good.
Got a send of this. That'll be good. That'll be great banter. So, throw my school bag in the cupboard and then leave it until the end of the last.
Yeah, you do it all panicked then.
Yeah, you panic, and you get that build up, that head. I'm not going to swear. You get that head mess up, and you'd be like, right, I'm fine. We're on 6-week vacation. Forget it. Don't need to worry about it. By the end of week 6, you're coming into week 5, right? Week 5. Oh, it pops into your mind a little bit now. I've got plenty of time. Week 4, got plenty of time. Week 3, halfway through now. Then week 2, last week. So you don't enjoy the last week of your holiday. So it's almost like that short-term good decision in the short term gives you such long-term.
Well, yeah, and a massive thing, I can't remember where, it's obviously played and said 1,000 times, which is that wealthy people save first and then spend what's left, not the other way around. Whereas what they, in quotes, unsuccessful people is they spend first and then they save what's left. And I think that shift in mentality, just about saving, you then start to do with other things like tasks and stuff. So another example is, imagine you've got X amount of units of willpower in a day, spend those on the gym in the morning.
Yeah.
Because then it's done. Just like saving as soon as you get paid that first day, save off the top. And it's like, but yeah, it's like it all is the same. Now that I'm like thinking about it, is money, activities, routines. It's like, if you are good at one, chances are you're good at the other. And really what it boils down to is do the hard things that are necessary first. So that's actually what I've been doing as well. When I open my emails, I've been really structured with my emails because, like I said on a few podcasts ago, I used to have my emails open all the time, all day. So I'd be working on something and an email would ping in and my brain would always be, oh, that's now important. And so I'd have to read it, I'd respond to it, whatever. And then Tim Ferriss talks about this a lot, that the task switching, the like loss that you have between going through tasks, because then when to come back to the original task, you got to like ramp up again. You're not in that same flow you were at, So anyway,
it's like the petrol thing again. It's like the petrol thing, but just with the task.
And this is what I'm saying. It's all the same. Is if it comes to emails, what I do now is I'm only allowed, right, on my goals every day when I journal, I go, I'm allowed to open my emails 4 times in a day. And even that's a fair amount, but it used to be open all the time, right? So I have a checkbox for 1, 2, 3, 4. And I say that I'm allowed to open it 4 times. So when it gets to like, I've only got like 1 open left, like I'm only allowed to open it 1 time. So do I open it now? It's only 4 p.m. What do I want to open it again at the end of the day? Because if I do, I need to wait. So it's kind of like I ration how much I'm allowed to be distracted, basically. Yeah. And so in the morning, I get the most important emails done, sent. So I'm allowed to open it at 9 a.m., right? So even though I've waken up at 6:50, not allowed to check. And obviously these are boundaries I put on myself, but that's, I guess, what discipline is, I suppose. And so, yeah, then I batch emails. That's, again, it's coming back to batching. I just send out 10 emails at 9 a.m., right? And then I don't check my emails again until 1 p.m. And then at 1 p.m., those people will have either responded or whatever. There'll be more emails that have come in. And then between 1 and 1:30, I send out another 10 emails, close it off. It's like, anyway, whatever. What I'm trying to say here is that all of this it's the same when it comes to money, routine.
How you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah.
Or that should be the mindset that you go towards. Like the same thing with my training the other day. I task switched so many times before I actually started my training session. So I was like, right, get the Bluetooth speaker on, tunes on, pumping. Oh, a WhatsApp's just come through. Quickly answer that. Shit, I need to send them a voice note. Disconnect from Bluetooth. Hey, yeah, do this. Back onto Bluetooth. Oh, an email's just popped in. Someone wants to schedule an appointment. Messaging around. Then I looked at my phone. It was like, shit, I haven't been doing this habit, this task switching for 40 minutes now. I could have just done the training, got the workout out of the way. And then it was weird. I'd kind of lost the enthusiasm.
Right. That's what I was going to say. Your willpower. Yeah.
To oh, I can't be bothered doing that workout now. That fire that I had kind of dampened. So it's so important.
The same with saving then. You could have done the same thing with spending money. Oh, just a tenner here, a fiver there, a couple of beers here, whatever. And it's like, shit, it's the end of the month. I haven't saved. Oh, don't worry, I'll save next month. And it's like that just keeps happening, that cycle. Whereas if you have that habit of as soon as it comes in, boom, you take the top, saving, and then whatever's left you sort of spend. And if you don't, whatever you want to save, right? And it all starts with the goal of, I want to save 20 grand. And then you divide that by how many months you want to save it by, right? It tells you, oh yeah, you need to save 300 quid a month. And it's like, if you don't have enough to save 300 quid a month, then you need to start getting rid of stuff. Do you really need that Netflix subscription or that? Do you need all of them? Netflix, Amazon Prime, Apple TV? Do you really need all of those? So then you should start saving tenors by getting rid of those, because actually it'll get rid of distractions. And that, I can't remember who talks about that. Actually, there's a book on it. It might be Tony Robbins, but it's, in fact, no, I'll tell you what it is. It's Robert Kiyosaki. That's where I got that from.
The little dwindling one. I remember reading a book. I think it was The Millionaire Next Door.
Right.
And he talks about the amount of money that people spend over a lifetime on coffee, just as an example. Or there's this theory, I think it's called the bottled water theory. It was invented in the 80s when bottled water is really fashionable now. But he was saying it was from the 80s, everyone was buying bottles of water. And then when you added up how much they were spending over a week, it was $20 a week on water. Combine that with the interest rate of what you would get if you invested $20 a week over a 5-year period. You've lost this much money, or you could have made this much money. And it's actually looking at your finances going, like you said, do I really need that? And when you're broke, if you get a really good mindset with your money when you're broke, you actually realize that you don't need a lot of stuff. And that again comes down to what you were saying about the supermarket shopping. How many times have you been around the supermarket and you went in just to get a tin of chopped tomatoes for your spaghetti bolognese or whatever, and then you come out of the supermarket with 10 other items that you didn't really want before you went in. You had no idea about the thought of getting some Haribo bears, and then you saw them and you bought them, and then something else and something else. And it's the good thing about the home delivery, especially for people listening to this that are trying to get in shape, is you make a great choice because you can only see what you want to order. Yeah. Whereas supermarkets spend so much money on the psychology of the buy,
the positioning of things.
And you go in, and that's how Primark works. People think Primark is, oh, it's so cheap. I just go to Primark. I don't know what the equivalent is in America, but I just go to Primark and, you can get a pair of jeans for $5 and you can get a pair of, 6 boxer shorts for $2. And then you go in thinking that you're going to get a bargain, but because it's so psychologically set up, it's like walking into, there's just so much stuff there. You're just you end up oh my God, they're only $1. I can't believe it. Oh, I'll get a few of those. Oh, and then before you know it, you went in to spend $10 and you spent $100 because you've seen so many bargains, and you end up buying stuff that you would never even wear.
It's funny. It's because that's the mentality of, look how much I'm saving. When if you were oh, it's normally £1,000, but you can get it today for 700. Oh, wow, I'm saving 300 quid. No, you're not. You're spending 700. It doesn't matter. You've spent £700. You've not saved 300. If you'd have saved 300, you would have put that money in a bank, but you've not saved, it doesn't work like that. And that people always like say that to me, and it always makes me laugh. It's like, no, you've not saved 300. You just spent 700. Like,
what I wanted to say as well, like related to this, and I thought you were going to bring it up, but maybe we've brought it up before. I think you might have brought it up. It's the Jim Rohn quote, which I love, which is the simplest sentence on money management. Don't buy the second car until you've bought the second house.
Yeah.
And that is it. If you just have that in your mind, and I've worked with so many people over the years, and I've made probably some of these errors myself, but not as much. Don't buy the second car until you've bought the second house. And I remember we were living way below our means, way below our means. I could have rented, when I started earning really good money, we could have rented like a really nice house and rented it out for like, $3,000, $4,000 a month, whatever, and been like, yay, look at us in this house. But we didn't. We stayed in this 2 up, 2 down, and we just grit our teeth, and we lived below our means, and it was save up. And we spent 2 years there. We didn't need to. We could have moved out, but I knew that $4,000 a month accumulated to 48 grand a year, which was a big chunk of my deposit, which would go on the house that I really wanted to buy. Now, here's the thing. You hear little sniggering people comment, and people say, oh my God, what are you look at them. He's speaking on seminars saying that he's making good money, and he can't be because he's living there, right? Do you know what I mean? There's all these little head things, these little gremlins that float around. And I get that now sometimes, because I don't really dress up, so people don't think, they associate success sometimes with the way that you dress. And
just materialistic things in general.
Yeah, I mean, shorts and flip flops, and it's like I don't mind. I don't. Then
look, if you look at the richest people on the planet that are like your Mark Zuckerbergs and things like that, they wear a t-shirt and flip flops. Like, that is how they live. Yeah.
And that is it. I think that Jim Rohn quote for anybody: don't buy the second car until you've bought the second house, and don't buy the third car until you bought the third house. And a bit like the other one that he says, I teach kids how to ride 2 bicycles, one to ride and one to rent. And it's just that same philosophy of, don't get ahead of yourself. Don't stop trying to impress. You don't need, like, I've had we used to do the podcasts in the Range Rovers and all that kind of stuff. And it was really nice, and it was good fun. And when I needed it, I had it. But I don't have a car now. I don't own one because
got 12 bicycles though. You are the child with the 1 bike to ride and 1 bike to rent. That's you.
I don't rent any of them out. I've done the wrong Jim Rohn. It's like, I teach you down how to have 3 bicycles. Buy 3, never ride 1, and give it away.
Yeah.
But it is interesting. It's it's that quote which just, and I think it's good to ask yourself, remind yourself of that, because we always get impulsive, and maybe something happens. There was times when I would get triggered by someone going, nah, he can't be doing well. It must all be nonsense. Look where he's look at the house that he's living in. He doesn't own what car is he driving? It's all this nonsense, but you can sometimes buy into that, which then triggers you to go, I'll show you. And then you go and get the thing that really...
Yeah, you didn't really want. Yeah.
Pressure. It ends up putting you under so much pressure. So we're having a massive wave in business growth at the minute. And we had the same wave in 2013, 2014. And I'm adamant that, number one, I'm not going to make the same mistakes that I made last time when we had mega growth. Like, we at the minute in the UK, we're doing more customer sales per month than the whole of America, right? Which is just mind blowing when you look at the difference in population. So I'm adamant that I'm, number one, not going to make the same mistakes that I made last time. But number two, I'm going to save so many people from making those mistakes. Because I was doing stuff, it was all fun, but I made quite a few errors in judgment back then, like traveling too much, don't need to travel. I left the UK for 6 weeks, went to America. I had some amazing, I won't change any, I wouldn't change any of this stuff, by the way. I'd just be smarter about the way that I'd done it. And I spent a lot of money on partying. Like, some people blew their money on renting houses that they didn't need, or buying cars that they didn't really need, or buying clothes and handbags and watches that they didn't need. At least they had something there and then. I spent most of mine on partying and some nights that I couldn't remember, and champagne, alcohol, vodka, beer. I'm doing some cool stuff like that, what I call deathbed moments, but deathbed memories. But I look back now, I think maybe you were meant to go there. I think there's a lot of maybe you were meant to go there, but there's also some of it where I'm like, if I could have just dialed that down by 30%, I would have had 30% more income that I could have invested. I would have had probably still as good amount of time. Did I really need to fly? Did I really need to fly business class to Dubai? I think I flew business class to Dubai about 4 times until it dawned on me that I didn't really need to. And I'll never forget the moment. It was, I got chatting to an off-duty cabin crew. And I think I've told this story before, but it's very similar to the Jim Rohn quote, the same sort of mindset. And she said to me, "Oh, you go in business class?" And I said, yeah. She said, do you like it? I said, yeah, I love it. I love business class. It's just so good. Like, you're up there, you've got the bar on board. She went, yeah, but do you not find it's not worth the money? I went, you work for Emirates though. She was like, no, I know, but like, do you really think you need business class when the flight is only 6 hours? And I was like, yeah, I know what you're saying. And then let's say it costs £2,000 to fly 6 hours. Then somebody said to me, would you ever pay £2,000 for a one night in a hotel? Which is better value than paying £2,000 for a 6 hour night in a small seat that you can turn into a bed. Do you really have a sleep on the flight from? So really all you're paying for, and this was me honestly admitting this, all I was paying for was the fact that I could sit in the bar. So would you pay £2,000 to go and
sit in a bar?
Right? Would you pay £2,000 to sit in a pub? So that was the first distinction. I was like, this is ridiculous. I think this is going to be the last time that I paid to fly business class to go to Dubai. And then the next thing that she said was just unreal for me. And I just went, the penny just dropped, or the dirham just dropped. And
do they have coins? Is it all paper?
Yeah,
there is coins,
yeah.
So I was going to say, if you drop just the paper, it just kind of float. It'd take a while for that paper.
Paper just floated. But she said this to me. She said, it's interesting. I met this guy. I was working on a flight, and she said, I met this guy who was a platinum member of Emirates. He was a platinum card holder. And what happened was I got chatting to him and was like, you're a platinum holder, but you're sat in economy with extra leg room. Like, what's going on? And he said, well, the way I look at it, he said, I've done the first class and the business class and all that. And he said, I didn't really find it was that much better, that it warranted the extra money that I was spending. But he said, I look at it this way. He said, I do a flight a week to Dubai and back. So I do the return flight every single week. If I went business class every time, that would cost me £2,000 per flight, right? That's £8,000 for the month. He said, every month I get to buy a new Rolex with the money that I've saved by not going business class. So it's like, I'm sat in this seat for 6 hours. Yeah, I pay a bit extra for extra leg room. And that mindset, I was just like, do you know what? That is the deal. That is how I like to think about things. And obviously you invest in the watch. He loves his watches. Obviously, it doesn't have to be watches. You could say, I'm going to invest that money into stocks and shares. I'm going to give it my favorite charity. I'm going to save up for a whole year with the money that I save there. I'm going to buy a ski lodge.
But that's the key thing, is actually putting that money aside and not just kind of like, actually saving it is what I'm trying to say. People talk about, oh, I've saved this much money. We'll actually save it then. Put it somewhere so it is available to invest.
I mean, I'm not, we went first class to New York and it was insane.
Yeah.
That wasn't, that for me was worth the money.
Right. Yeah.
I sat there on my own in a bar. I wouldn't pay £2,000 to go and sit at a bar on my own to just chat to the bar staff for 6 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd go in a pub and I've been in a pub and done that before. Of course, I have just gone in a pub and sat there and chatted, but I wouldn't pay to do it. Like, I wouldn't pay that much money to do it. So these are all little things that you almost, and I guess it comes down to when it all comes back to what we're talking about, is having your goals written down, making the right decisions, getting organized. Because if you just go with the flow, you will be sort of directed.
Yeah, you'll be, and you know what? There's probably an element of like, as you were making money before you'd flown first class the first time, is like you think, oh, that's what you do when you've made money. And so when, like, going back to similar with the house and the cars and stuff, if you don't show up in that nice car, or you go home to the house, maybe nobody even sees that house, but in the back of your mind, you're having this outwitting the devil, which is that, should I be in this house? Should I be in a bigger house? Everyone in society says I should be in a bigger house. I don't really want a bigger house, but the society says. So you're having this battle, and then sometimes you cave and you go, yeah, I should have the bigger house. But at the end of the day, it's that there's like a really cool quote that I've seen 1,000 times on Instagram or wherever, which is like, it's such that society is so weird that we're built where people go to jobs that they don't like to earn money, to, have clothes to impress people they don't like or whatever, to have houses they don't live in, and it's like to pay a mortgage on a house they're not in. And it's like, yeah, that is what people do. They don't like their job.
That's been brought back right now. This whole situation has reminded people that maybe I don't need all that stuff. Like, I'm just as happy now not having all that. And I get it. And I think I told myself a story, and a lot of other people do and did, that it'll enhance your business. So I remember telling myself a story, like getting a table. We went to One Oak in LA, and it was, you were there, right? I think.
No, it wasn't that time. No.
We went to One Oak. It was amazing, and we had an amazing time. I don't look back and regret on this stuff, but the amount of times that you could have carried on doing that sort of same thing every week, getting a table in a nightclub where you think like, this is going to outgrow my business. It's almost like you tell yourself the story, I'm gonna pay extra to go in business class because I'm gonna meet some top people in there, which you probably will if you can be bothered networking and having the conversation. Then you've put pressure on yourself to actually make it valuable. So you have to then make the decision work for you. And I think there's so many sort of internal stories and battles, and like you were just saying there, that peer pressure from the outside, you're constantly outwitting the devil. And if you're not totally organized and focused with your money, before you know it, that money has dwindled away, and you're like, where did it all go? Well, I spent $2,000 on a flight to go there that I didn't really need to do, just because I thought it was what I was supposed to do, because I'm more successful now, quotes, for those of you that aren't watching us.
Do you think in this period as well, that's just give me an idea that, like, do you think more, you've been saying this for years, and it's in loads of the books when it comes to financial freedom, is that people, just think about this right now, there are loads of people now sat at home that are not having to go to work, but are getting furlough money, which I think is up to a maximum of like $2,500 or something. I don't know exactly off the top of my head. So, and they're getting by. Like, there'll be plenty of people that are living, right? And they're not having to go to work. So they're able to spend time with their family. They're able to, do things. So then it comes back to that argument of like, how much is financial freedom? Like, if you could have residual income that was like, let's say $2,500, $3,000 a month, which isn't millionaire status by any means. It's what, 30 grand a year, 35 grand a year. And it's like, but you don't have to go to work for it. So you've built, you only have to work maybe a couple of hours a week, right? And you can build something up to be residual, not completely passive, but it's residual where you start to put a bit of time in, but you're not trying to get 100 grand a month. It's just 3 or 2.5, 3. It's like, your life would be so much better rather than having to work and get 3.5 grand. And you have to work to a job you fucking hate. And, I have to beep that out. You're in a job that you absolutely hate, 40 hours a week, sometimes more. You don't get to spend time with your kids, your family. You miss the nativity play. You do all that. Why don't you just build something that gives you 2 grand, 3 grand a month and spend all that time with your kids and actually enjoy life on less money? It's like
money, but on your terms.
On your terms, yeah.
And you're spot on with what you say, because, and I think it's probably more than a couple of hours a week, but it's a couple of hours a day. Like, I look at what I've done this week. And all right, it's not the perfect situation for me, but I'm pretty much living my perfect week in terms of what I want to achieve, right? I'm working my business every day, but I'm doing it from here. Like you guys watching this is where I sit every single day. I do my calls once we've recorded this, I've got a call with somebody that's interested in partnering with us. So I'm doing my calls from here, a little bit like you are now, right? You're doing your calls, you're doing your work from home, this whole working from home element. You're getting time with Phoenix. Yeah, you could have a big office in London that you have to fly down to every day, you know, which means you spend less time. And I love the concept, live for free. How much do you have to earn per month to live for free? So that means all your bills are paid without stress, without worry. So your mortgage, your shopping bill, you know, all your utilities, all that's covered. The things that you love to do are covered. So maybe your hobbies, maybe you go watching Liverpool on the weekend, or you go
Why would you use Liverpool as your example? What a bad example. Who the hell goes to watch Liverpool at a weekend?
Well, nobody at the minute. But you know what I mean? It's like, add those up, add how much it would actually cost you to live for free per month. And it is a lot closer than you think. It is so closer than you think. But a lot of people, like you said, are doing jobs they hate to achieve a financial target that is probably just a bit more than what they would earn if they went and did something that they really enjoyed. So they got up with a spring in the step and a smile on the face, and they get to work life on their terms. And it was interesting just to kind of wrap up this story. So our business grew really fast, massive, earning like ridiculous amounts of money. You know, you learn, you make lessons, you have lessons, you make mistakes. And then our business dropped. It never dropped to zero, but there was one point where it was dropping, and I was thinking, wow, I've just gone full time here. And if this continues dropping like it's gonna drop, then, you know, is it gonna drop to zero? It can't, no way. And I had this question in my mind, and it just kind of sums up your point. Let's say I was earning as a personal trainer, and I can't remember exactly, but let's say I was earning around about 18,000 a year, which is the average what a personal trainer earns in the UK, 18,000 pounds a year, which is what per month? Let's say it's like $2,000. Let's just say it's slightly less. Let's say it's 1,500 a month profit. Net profit is what I was, if you say that that's what I was earning. Even if my online business dropped to 1,500 a month, I'd still be better off doing that than I would have. So I had a figure in my mind. I was always like, all right, it's dropping, but keep calm, relax. You're in total control of building it back up again. And as long as it doesn't drop to less than 18,000 a year, then I'm cool. And
because even at that point, it could drop a little bit less, because what you've got to appreciate is when you're personal training, there are other expenses that come with that, like just driving to the place. Yeah. And if you don't have to do that anymore, that could be a couple £100 a month that you're better off earning less, so it could even itself out. So you could even go below slightly, but you've got all the freedom.
Go below it, and yeah, because there was no rent. And this is what I've been saying recently: is I'm making more money now than I have in a long time, because the business is going absolutely crazy, and I'm spending less because I can't go anywhere. So this is like force me to be better with my money, force me to save money, force me to actually. And Tim Ferriss talks about this in the. In this book, actually, let's just bring it back to this, because this is kind of what we're covering. One of the questions in the book is, I'm sure it's one of the questions. Let me just find it. It might not be one of the questions after all. It's something to do with getting better at saying, how do you get better at saying no? It's something about that. Like getting good at saying no to something. How do you get good at saying no? It might be this one. There you go. Here's the question. In the last 5 years, what have you become better at saying no to? Distractions, invitations, new realizations, approaches of health, any other tips? So this guy, whoever it is that he's interviewed, let me just read this for you.
Story time with John.
No, this is just what he comments actually. So Tim Ferriss says, saying yes is easy, saying no is hard. I wanted to help with the latter as did many people in the book. And some answers delivered really good answers. So let me just see if I can find one.
And it isn't even just saying yes and no to things like going to places, yes and no. It's like saying yes and no to like, I'm not going to drink alcohol, like, you know, saying no to those things. So it's not even things that take time. It's like just decisions. I'm going to eat healthy. Like it is so true.
Let me just read this out for you. You'll love this because it's literally what you've just said.
All right.
So I learned to make my no list by starting with my yes list. The yes list should be centered around what's important, but how do you define a vague concept like important? I use a couple of simple litmus tests. When it comes to my work yes list, I think about what I might call the epitaph test or something. I don't know what that even means. When I find myself with an opportunity, I ask myself whether I'd be happy if I had something to do with this project. If the answer is a clear no, that means it's probably not actually important to me.
Right.
So I think it's to do this epitaph thing is like, it's a morbid question to ask. Like if you're about to die, would you be bothered that you were part of that?
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
So for my social life, this is what you were talking about, is for my social life, the yes list and similar tests could be called the deathbed test. We all hear about these studies where people on their deathbed reflect on what they regret most. And the cliche is that nobody ever says they regret spending more time in the office. That's because the deathbed offers people a level of zoomed out clarity that's hard to get in our normal lives. It's only when we're lacking clarity and fog of our day-to-day rush that we think it makes sense to neglect our most important personal relationships. The deathbed test pushes me to two things. Make sure I'm dedicating my time to the right people with the right question. Is this someone I might be thinking about when I'm on my deathbed? Wow, cool question.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's deep, but it's also like, yeah. And I think we actually spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, like really early on, which is that like, why are we doing stuff to impress people that are not going to exist to us in the next 5 years?
Yeah. And this is and you mentioned this the other week. And then the second question he asked himself is, if I were on my deathbed today, would I be happy with the amount of time I spent with this person? I mean, that is like, whoa. So you spent 40 years building this thing up that you didn't really love that much, but you felt like you had to do it because the ego got in the way, which meant you neglected all your time to spend with the people that you really, really wanted to be around. I mean, it's just an amazing book. I would highly recommend this Tribe of Mentors by Tim Ferriss. And it's just a book to go back to as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like a reference book. Yeah, for sure. I think Tim Ferriss is very good. I watched a very cool video of his, and we'll sort of wrap up the podcast now anyway, because we don't want to overdo it. But I watched a cool video of his like 2 or 3 days ago, and he was basically saying like, I think a question got posted. He's very good on YouTube, actually. Check out Tim Ferriss on YouTube because he's got some great videos. He does these quite short ones. Anyway, someone had asked like, how do you live a full life basically doing things that are like, important business-wise, things that are important, I guess, like spiritually, and things that are important, like something else, whatever. I can't remember the 3 things. Anyway, what he was basically saying is there's no way of living like a balanced full life, like accidentally. You have to schedule in balance. So you have to go, right. For me, for example, now, I have Sundays, no business. So that's scheduled in every week. There's nothing that happen. It doesn't matter what happens on that day. I'm not picking my phone up. I am not answering an email. And it's like and do you know what the other byproduct of that is? In the week, Lauren isn't like asking me like, oh, can we do this? Can we go here? Whatever. Because she knows that on a Sunday, it's free reign. So it's like, there's no arguments there then. She knows exactly I'm working or whatever. Anyway, what I was going to say is that he kind of goes through these things, and he basically said that schedule it in, build routines around balance, which is, if you want to be spiritual, is have a day that's all about productivity and business, and then have another day that's all about spirituality or whatever, and have another day that's to do with relationships. And he's like, Or if you can't set specific days, is just make sure you have specific times. So if you need to do like 3 things in a day, have your morning for like spirituality, have your midday like day for productivity, and have your evening for family. And don't like defer from that. Don't do work in the evening if that's your family time. Don't do family time in the morning if that's your spiritual time. Like, schedule it in, and that's how you'll live a balanced life, because you'll tick every box. And then it'll go to what you were just saying is, if somebody asks you to do something at 2 p.m., but that's productivity time, it's so much easier to say, no, let's do it at 6. Let's do it. Or you know, it's like, actually, it's not even important at all.
Let's do it when it's convenient, but also let's do it when we'll get the most out of that situation. It's the Jim Rohn one. Don't take your briefcase to the beach.
Right.
Don't take your sandals to the office. It's like that whole mindset of, when you're working, you work. When you family time, you have family time. And the other good one from Jim Rohn is the I can't remember it exactly. It's that good. But there's something about, it's an easy way of getting out. I've heard it so many times and I've gone, yeah, that's great. I need to use that more. I can't commit just yet. Let me look and get back to you. That just buys you time, because I always fall into the trap of getting so enthusiastic. Yes, that sounds great. Let's do it. And then they're like, then you've got to get yourself out of it, because sometimes you do this when you've been drinking as well. How many times have you agreed to do something when you've had a few beers and you're yeah, that'll be wicked. Let's do it, lads. And then you're like, oh no, I've just arranged to go on like a 4-day trip with the boys. And the 2 days after, I've got to be in a really important meeting or at an event. So it's almost saying, just taking that step back, going, I can't confirm yet. I need to check my diary, or even I need to check with my PA is a great line to use. Having a gatekeeper there. I need to check whether you've got a PA or not is irrelevant. You just say, I need to check with my virtual assistant. I need to check with my scheduler.
My imaginary friend.
Yeah, I need to check with my PA, who's my little puppy or whatever. But if you've got a PA, great, or an assistant, or somebody you work with, and you can, or not, you just say, I need to check with my schedule, and I'll get back to you, because that at the minute I can't commit. If anything changes, I'll let you know.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Let them down. You're not saying no, but you're saying I can't. But if anything changes, I'll let you know. And that is one thing that you can get much better at doing, and it just buys you that time of saying there's nothing worse, and I hate doing it, and I very rarely do it, because once I've committed, I say, well, you were the idiot that said you were going to do it, so you have to do it now, and you have to commit. But you know what? There's nothing worse than trying to unravel yourself out of a situation.
Yeah, and I feel like, to sort of wrap up the podcast, we've kind of covered some really good topics there. The main thing really for me is, how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you're the type of person to look at your money and go, this is how I'm going to structure it, you're probably the type of person to structure your day in an effective way to get the most productivity out, health. You're probably also the same type of person to look at your like food and, be structured around what you eat and what you don't eat. Because this is another thing that I've been doing, which I don't know whether it's good or not, but it seems from a mental perspective, it works for me. So I'm pretty much fasting Mondays to Saturdays, just eating once a day, and eating clean as I can, like just basically chicken or fish or, maybe rice, something like that, something real plain. And then on a Sunday, like I treat myself. You start to realize that you look at things that you took for granted before as like really nice things. So like I literally just drink water all week. It's like no flavor to it, nothing. And then on a Sunday, I have a cup of tea. And it's like the nicest thing ever.
I like it.
It's good. But anyway, I don't know if it's actually good to do what I'm doing, but my sort of bad days are Sunday.
It's that whole, and that's what we've talked about before, is that reward, that dopamine response, training yourself to get the dopamine hit at the right times.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of people do they're I need a dopamine hit, so I'll open a can of Coke, and they drink Coke all day. And then they get fat because the body's loaded with sugar. Whereas saying, do you know what? I'm going to wait until I have that Coke Friday night when I've done my working week and I've nailed what I was doing.
Well, you use it as a carrot at the end of a stick as well.
Like and then the dopamine hits bigger somehow.
Right.
So I always used to say, like, your first beer is always the best. Like
it is. It so is.
end of the week when you've like, oh, what a week, God. I mean, it doesn't have to be alcohol because I don't want to make it about booze, but it could be that evening walk, Friday night, 6 p.m., done, go for a walk. That is what we do. And we switch the phone off and it's like, that is so rewarding compared to, oh, I've only got 20 minutes. I need to go and get my walk in.
So I'll tell you something I'm about to test tomorrow, because tomorrow's Sunday. So I've just bought, because I'm basically testing this exact theory that you've just said about the first beer being the thing you actually care about the most. So I've like cut booze out, I think the last month now or something like that. And so I was like, do you know what? I really enjoy having a beer in the sun. Like that is my sort of go-to. I love this, like, if you know what I mean. But we all know that having a beer is detrimental. Like it's a bad thing to do for your body, mind, etc., and stuff like that. So but I don't want to replace it with like a can of Coke or something that really is equally as bad, but just in another direction. Anyway, so what I've actually bought is some non-alcoholic Peronis, just like a 4-pack. And I'm testing out tomorrow is, if it's, I think actually the sun's going to be gone tomorrow, so I might actually do it today. Is like having that beer that's non-alcoholic and just like really enjoying like just the refreshingness of it for what it is, because that's actually what I'm craving. I'm not craving the getting drunk bit. I'm craving the refreshing bit. So I'll see if it works or whatever and report back. It might be not like boring and not really want it, but
I've used it non-alcoholic beer. It's not the same feeling as a normal one because obviously there's no alcohol. So the alcohol is the drug that gives you that kind of, whoa, that little moment of, yeah.
But surely only after like beer 4.
I think it is beer 1 because that's why they always say like the first beer is never enough. So there's never many people that just have 1 beer or 1 glass of wine. That's how, when I've done my research into it, and obviously I've been sober now for about 130 days. And I know you've done stints as well, long stints without alcohol. And we've actually been out and had a non-alcoholic beer together a couple of times. But there is enough of I'll tell you what is good. There is enough of the experience for it to be good enough to do it again and not go into the no beer, not go into the alcohol thing. So what I found recently, I've not been drinking non-alcoholic beer because of the sugar content at the minute. I'm trying to get my abs to pop out. Right. But when I gave up alcohol, we were in Lisbon. We had a retreat in Lisbon and it was incredible. And we went to this restaurant and it was like a burlesque theme. It was a tasting menu. So you had like 10 courses, and at every course, these cool dancers came out and it was like really dim light, and it was a mind-blowing experience. It's almost like being in Cirque du Soir or Cirque du Soleil or whatever.
Cirque du Soleil, yeah.
Yeah, and we were sat there and I was like, and there was our sales director, he was with me, he wasn't drinking either. And I was like, man, I could really murder, like I would love, this is just like now, I would love a beer, a little glass of Pinot Noir, that'd be like, it was just a good vibe, do you know what I mean? The food was great, the entertainment was great, the company was great. And I just said to the guy, I went, have you got any non-alcoholic beer? And he was like, yeah, we can do non-alcoholic beer or non-alcoholic cocktails. I was like, I'm not into my cocktails. I could if someone says, you know, if I never have to have another cocktail again in my life, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Bothered. A beer, different. And he went, we've got non-alcoholic Peroni or whatever it was. And I was like, or whatever their sweet, the Portuguese version is. And I had it, and I swear to you, and you'll notice this tomorrow, it just takes the edge off. That's what it does. It just, you get probably 70% of that.
Of the buzz, yeah.
I'm having like, oh, that's better. And I remember,
that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm saying is,
you don't get that Monday morning. You won't wake up on Monday morning going, oh God, why did I have like 10 crates, 10 bottles out? Why did
10 crates, jeepers.
Why did I finish the crate off? Why did I do the crate?
But that's it. Anyway, it's been a good podcast. We've been on for, I guess, like an hour or so. We actually originally had a completely different plan for this podcast, which is what I love. But this was the point of it, right? Was us just general chit-chatting. And we've been on so long, my computer's actually gone off at the side of me.
The sun has gone.
Yeah. So anyway, great to chat with you, lad. And we will...
subscribe. We are almost at 100 subscribers now.
Yes, for sure. I don't even know what it is. But yes, subscribe on YouTube. And yeah, we will see you guys next week.
The Extra 10% Podcast. Remember to like the John and Mark Facebook page on Facebook or visit johnandmark.co.uk for exclusive updates and content. Why not share this podcast with a friend and help them get paid tomorrow for what they do today?